Chapter 99. Ghost of the Past. Are you happy now? Anything else you want to say, Dad? Akio asked. Hi. Are you bringing your people with you? Of course, Dad, but not everyone. The office here was also my marketing arm in this region. I have a fancy for my son to see another scenery and learn to adapt to another environment while still young. Well and good. After you're finished with your projects, come and visit us here in Japan. I want to see my grandson too. Yes, Dad. That will come. Sayonara, Dad. Akio Hinode. His son and his executive assistant were returning to the Cebu Business Park. They flew from the metropolis in his private jet. They went directly to his home in an executive village, where his household staff met them. They found his son an adorable toddler, playful, and talkative kid. Akio's executive assistant was stunning, attractive, and gregarious. They found her as approachable and easy to talk with. Meanwhile, Guanchul was at the K-Mall, talking to some men in the maintenance department. Are the banners ready? Asked Guanchul. One of the men showed the banner, and he was pleased. Then instructed them to hang the larger one from the parapet of the third level of the mall, as a week's display. It was a vast banner with Reeler's picture of her pregnancy. Beside her image was written, "In memory of our beloved, Mrs. Gabrielle Han and son." All shoppers, especially the employees, were amazed by the banner, and the employees commiserated over Reeler's sudden death. The Oval Office of Guanchul and all of the administrative offices gathered in the hallway, where the banner for Riel was displayed. They couldn't help but feel sorrow for Reeler's unexpected demise. Inside the purchasing division, all the staff was looking scornfully at Rosemary. They knew of her illicit relationship with Han Hyunaki, because rumors had spread since Reeler's death, but they kept silent. The manager stared at Rosemary and then commented, "You should light 70 candles for Mrs. Gabrielle Han." Rosemary looked at the manager sharply. The manager continued, "According to the Bible, you should consider 70 times 7 before doing something wrong." Then the manager gave a wry smile. Rosemary pouted at her, and with chin up, returned to her post. At that moment, Guanchul called for Junie to see him in his office. Junie wondered if this could have something to do with Reeler's commemoration, because he was stunned when he saw the display. He almost forgot that fateful day, and he felt despondent. "Sir Hewan, you wanted to see me?" asked Junie. "Yes, I want to prepare the altar for Riel and her villa in her honor. You know better the best place to put this up, but, sir, would it be better to consult Sir Hyunki before arranging the altar? Why should I? Do you think he would even bother, Junie? Give me one instance that proved me wrong." Junie was silent and thought Guanchul was right. Hyunki never mentioned Riel or her recent death anniversary, which was why the commemoration slipped his mind. Junie said, "Sir Hyunki put under lock and key the 2 rooms at home, the main and the baby's room, and nobody could open them unless he said so." Guanchul paused for a few seconds to think. Then he got an idea and said, "Since the 2 rooms were closed permanently, let us arrange the altar there. I will let 2 of my men post the second banner across the 2 rooms, and place a low table there with the fruits, food, wine, joss sticks, and lilies. Let us now gather the entire staff to join me in prayer." After the morning prayer for Riel and her baby, Guanchul couldn't get Hyunki's real intentions for closing the 2 rooms permanently. Did he make the 2 rooms his baby and wife's graves because he could not get their urns from Dr. Kalma? Or was it because he felt guilty of his wrongdoings that shutting those rooms would lessen his grief? Ever since these doors were closed, didn't he ask anyone to clean them occasionally? Guanchul asked the house staff. The maids replied with a never nod. Meanwhile, at Akio Hinode's residence, he told his house staff to prepare the rooms and meals, as well as the guest house adjacent to the pool. Then Akio made arrangements and confirmed the party he had prepared for his 1-year-old son, from a popular restaurant at the K-Mall. He also invited his employees' young children to join him for his son's birthday celebration. Akio prepared vans to bring the families of his employees to the venue, and everything was all set. He instructed the store crew to put the young celebrant's banner outside the food store door so his employees could easily see it. It printed his son's picture and name on the flag with the greeting, "Happy first birthday, Hyung-sik." Later that afternoon, guests were coming to Hyung-sik's birthday. Akio Hinode went to the party and greeted the guests. Meanwhile, his executive assistant walked with the toddler who was inside the stroller. She carefully walked on the pedestrian lane and pushed the stroller, when Hyunki's Mercedes-Benz SUV abruptly stopped, startling Junie and Hyunki. Junie got shocked and could not move. while Hyunaki got off the SUV upon seeing Akio's executive assistant trembling nervously. Hyunaki rushed to see the toddler in the stroller, who got frightened and made him cry loudly. The executive assistant suddenly came to her senses and faced Hyunaki angrily. "Don't ever come near this child," she said with an upset tone. Hyunaki was stunned upon seeing her face and became speechless. Akio's assistant looked at Hyunaki coldly, then continued angrily, "How dare you drive your vehicle as if you own this place? Look at what your negligence and recklessness did to this little boy. You scared him to death. You are not the country's president, where everyone would give way to your vehicle. Shame on you." Security approached them to see the commotion, and when he saw Hyunaki, he bowed and talked to the lady. "Excuse me, ma'am, this is Mr. Han, the owner of this mall. Please?" Hyunaki stopped him. Still in a daze as he stared at the lady, he spoke. "I'm sorry about the trouble," the lady interrupted. "You almost killed this child and me? Now, you're saying sorry." The lady was furious at Hyunaki and continued her complaint. "Was that enough? Coming from a decent CEO of this mall, shame on you. It was this boy's birthday celebration, and you almost killed us. I hope I won't see that face of yours ever again." Then she proceeded to the party without turning her back. She could almost shed tears, but quickly dried them. Hyunki was still dazed at the lady when his eyes caught on the ground, somewhat like a bracelet. He picked it up and indeed was a bracelet, and it was not just an ordinary bracelet, and he was bewildered. He held the bracelet tightly, and he felt mysterious about this bracelet and the lady. While he stood in the lobby in deep thought, Hyunki was aware he was wide awake but puzzled. That lady, and this bracelet. What do they mean? He went to his office, confused and almost on the verge of tears, and he closed his office door behind him, releasing the muffled sorrow he had been holding up since Reeler's death. He cried a lot, feeling the weight he had carried for so long in his chest. He didn't want others to know how sorry and regretful he was. And now, having seen a lady with very close semblance to Riel, he thought, if Riel was not pronounced as dead, I could say she was Riel herself. Was I being haunted because of the wrong I had done? He looked closely at the bracelet and examined it well. He thought, this was the same bracelet I designed for her, to make it unique, but how come this little boy had the same? As of my supposed son. And once more, he studied the bracelet carefully and discovered that the gold back was imprinted in Chinese. In contrast, the bracelet he customized for his son was engraved in Korean. Still, the face of the gold itself was the name, Hyung-sik, which he chose to be his son's name once his baby boy was born. Was it a coincidence? Was there really a coincidence? My son's birthday should be around this time, and so was that boy's. Her face resembled Riel, and this week was her death anniversary. What is this? Why is this happening? Was it a retribution for my sins against my wife and son? Meanwhile, at the party, Akio Hinode held her executive assistant's hand and introduced her to their guests. "My dear guests, with me is my executive assistant, Glee." The guests couldn't take their eyes off her because they couldn't help comparing the image printed on the banner to Akio's assistant. Akio whispered something into her ear, and she fidgeted. She left the venue, looked up, saw the banner displayed, and smiled. She took her camera and stood close to the banner to take a selfie with the image of Riel. Then she went back inside. She asked aloud, "Could it be I have a twin?" But that was impossible, because my mom said nothing about it, and I grew up just me. I feel afraid of mistaken identity. Glee expressed her deep concern. Before office hours ended, Alexis invited Louis and Patricia to meet at the mall. Alexis said, "I feel like watching a movie tonight. Do you fancy going with me, girls?" Patricia replied, "Yes, but first, let us have some burgers and French fries. I've been craving them this week. Let us stop by at the restaurant." They were walking towards the restaurant when they read the banner, "Happy birthday, Hyung-sik." The three girls exchanged glances, having remembered that name from Riel. Whoa! It was Reeler's first death anniversary, and look what appeared on our faces, the name Hyung-sik. And if Riel and her son were alive today, it was his first birthday. What a coincidence, and I have goosebumps already, said Louis. So am I. Patricia and Alexis cried in unison. Come on, let us take a peek. Maybe the party is still taking place, suggested Patricia. The party was over, and they failed to see the little boy named Hyung-sik. They felt bewildered about the day's coincidence. Does retribution cause ghosts of the past to haunt one's conscience? Keep following the exciting episodes in the Windows of the Heart series.